Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are here with Jim. He's over in Louisiana. He's got a pretty cool story to tell and also has some great nuggets for y'all to catch by the end of this conversation. Before we begin, though, please remember, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell below. Every time you interact with this channel right here, it goes out to more people who are just getting aware of hair systems, hair loss, things like this, and ways to actually combat that. So you're helping them more than you're helping me. Jim, what is going on, man? We've been trying to have a conversation now for like 2 months, and nature, everything keeps getting in the way, from thunderstorms to bad scheduling on my part and everything. What's going on, man?
We're doing great. We're surviving all this pandemic stuff and tropical storms, and we just keep moving right along. We're doing real good.
That's
it's
awesome,
great to be here.
And you know what? That's a great mustache.
Thank you. Yeah, my wife, she's a big fan of Sam Elliott, so I try to do my part.
Okay, I was gonna go with you. You got the Burt Reynolds look going on. Nice, man. So you got a message, you got a story that I think our viewers are gonna find really interesting. So why don't you take us back to your origin story, your superhero origins when it comes to hair loss? Tell us where it all began.
Where it all began. Well, I didn't start noticing any problems till I was well into my 30s. I was in my late 30s, and I started noticing some big recession going on with my hair. And I thought I was going to be spared because my dad lost his hair when he was in his early 20s. He had a thick, full head of hair, and I remember as a kid him telling me, when his started, when it came out fast. And I always kind of feared that. And when I made it to the 35 mark and still was doing good, I thought maybe I'm going to be spared. Maybe the hair gods are shining down upon me. And lo and behold, I just started seeing more hair in the shower and on my pillow, and I knew something was going on, and it bothered me. It bothered me a lot. I'd mention it to my wife all the time, and it didn't bother her. We had married when I still had a full head of hair, and
you snagged her when you were lush and you had your Samson hair.
When I was lush, but it didn't bother her. She said it really didn't matter to her, and I said, I really want to do something. And she said, if you want to do something for you, then do it. She was really supportive, and trying to figure out what to do was a challenge. The first thing that I'd entertain was using the Rogaine. And
let me interrupt real quick. So around what age, or you can frame it like how many years ago was this from today that you started trying to take some action?
Oh gosh, well this was about 18 years ago when it started for me. Yeah. And it was about I'd say about a good 6-year process of losing the hair, because the first thing I did was what I've heard you talk about was the denial. And
it's not just a river in Egypt, is it?
It's not absolutely. And so I started doing the comb over. And I was rocking the comb over, and I was going through a can of hairspray a week, and spending way too much time getting primped in the morning, managing all that, getting it all in place, worrying if it was going to get out of place throughout the day. And I was around, I guess I was around 40 when I finally just resolved to the fact that I wasn't going to be able to stop it. So I got the clippers, I put the #1 block on it, and started buzzing it down.
Sure.
And I would not leave the house without a cap on. I wore a cap every waking hour. I was wearing a cap.
Wow.
And so in the process of doing that, I did try the Rogaine. I tried it for about 6 months. I really didn't have good results. I didn't notice any any growth, and it irritated my scalp. You know, I was getting a lot of dandruff and dry scalp from it, so that went by the wayside. And then I saw the infomercial on TV and tried to think about the hair transplant route. And I called the number, asked them. They said, well, the average price is about $30,000. And I said, well, I can buy a lot of caps for $30,000, you know. And then when I really thought about it, I thought, how am I going to get a 1 inch by 6 inch strip of scalp with hair from the back of my head to fill up a 48 square inch area on the top of my head and achieve the results that I'm looking for? I mean, even best case scenario, I'm still going to look like I'm losing my hair. So I decided not to go that route. And that's when I started thinking about the hair systems. And this goes
and this
back
is still,
to...
Yeah, this is about 6 years ago, right?
Well, this was actually, it was 7 years ago is when I really got enthralled with the idea of a hair system. And I researched it for a good year.
Sure.
Before I finally purchased one. I was looking up everything I could on the internet about hair systems, and
which it wasn't as easy as it is now, right? I mean, you probably had like hair loss talk in some forums, maybe. Probably wasn't as prevalent as what's going on now. It
wasn't, and the only thing that came close to it that most people know about, you know, is the hair clubs.
Sure. Yep.
And that was even expensive, you know, with all those maintenance contracts and everything. And the word contract scared me when it came to my hair. I didn't want to get locked into a financial contract with my hair. So I went ahead and did the research, and I came across a company over in Georgia, as a matter of fact, a hair system company, and I contacted them. And they were very supportive. They were really great. The guy that I talked to, he wears a hair system. He asked me if I had ever worn one, and I told him I had. And he said, well, let me just give you a little bit of hair system 101. And he said that what I would suggest is a French lace. And since you haven't worn one before, I would get the poly on the border around the perimeter. And he said, if you want to go this route, if you want to get the custom, then we need a template and we need a hair sample. And this was when I was still using the #1 block on the clippers. So I had to wait a couple of months, you know, to let my hair grow out enough to even send in a hair sample. And so that's what I did. And I got a custom piece. And as if I wasn't apprehensive enough with the whole dramatic change of the hair system, we had a formal ball to go to. And this was in April of 2014. I mean, the tuxedo, the sequin gowns, the whole 9 yards.
Sure.
And the system came in a couple of days before, and I said, well, I got to get this thing cut in. You know, it had the 6 inch length. And so my wife contacted her hair salon. She talked to the owner that she's good friends with, asked if she was up for doing it. And she said, well, she's never really done it, but one of the girls in her shop could probably do a good job if I was up for it. So I said, yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. So here we are. This is like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I go to the hair salon after putting it on my head, piled it off underneath a baseball cap, went to the beauty shop. I'm the only guy in there. Take my hat off. Okay, what can you do with it? And we had this ball at like 6 o'clock that evening. What is this going to look like? And she actually did a good job. She really did a good job. The one thing that I did notice, and some time went by, I think I was on my second or third system, and I looked at pictures, and one thing, ordering online, and even sending in samples, the one thing that I really wasn't 100% satisfied with was the percentage of gray. It was, to me, it was very noticeable. But the one thing that I noticed, Jake, was when we went to the ball, and these were friends of ours that had seen me without a cap, they knew that I had hair loss, how supportive they really were. I was floored by that. The ones that noticed immediately when we walked in, it was like, wow, that looks great. If I didn't know before, I wouldn't even have guessed, and that was like such a weight off my shoulders.
Sure.
And I even had some friends that had never paid attention. And I know you touched on that, how the majority of people just really don't care.
Yeah.
And these are people that I've known for years, and it's friends that I'd had for years, and they said, that's a hair piece? I really didn't even know you didn't have hair. And it goes back, I've seen that in a lot of the testimonials and videos that you've done is really the majority of people just don't care. They don't notice that much. It's the individual that really notices it. It's not other people out there. But it is such a dramatic difference, before and after type of deal, and you have to get acclimated to it. And we're creatures of habit. That's just how our makeup is, and you do get acclimated to it. You get used to it. I don't buy into the videos where you see these guys that have been bald for 10 to 15 years. They put a system on their head, and it's like, I can't even tell. It's just, I can't even tell it's there. Oh, you definitely know it's there. It's a foreign object sitting on the top of your head, but you get used to it, and it actually becomes a part of you. It's just like when you're wearing a cap. When you first put the cap on your head, you feel it in the morning, but throughout the day, you're not checking to see if the cap's still there. You get used to it.
Yeah, no, I mean, our sensory faculties inside of our bodies get used to, we're incredibly adaptable as people. We get used to anything that we're exposed to. We become desensitized to it. So you're right. I literally, I push my hair system to the limit, and I'm always working out and stuff. You used to notice and think about it all the time when I was working out, especially, because I was like, am I breaking down the ball and all this kind of stuff? I literally don't think about it at all. I'm never thinking about my hair system at all. Like, even when I do things like, handstand push-ups where my head is sweaty and stuff like that, and I'm pushing my head into the ground, and then I just don't think about it. It's not something that registers for me. You're right. It's something that goes away with time, and it takes time to acclimate, but it's all good. So you've had a journey, and you've been doing this for quite some time. And this, 6 understanding
years,
hair loss and trying to deal with it with different things, Rogaine, or considering a transplant, or finding out about a hair system. And with that being said, what's your advice to the audience here that's watching?
I tell you what, before I get to the advice part, I did want to also, I had received a comment from you, and also a couple of other people, a response to a comment I had on one of the first videos that I watched of you, and that was that my systems were lasting me an average of 10 months, which seemed to be pretty unusual, because it seems like the average time guys go through 3 or 4 systems a year.
Sure.
And this one I got back in September, so we're on 10 months right now. Dang. And if you maintain them, if you don't abuse them, if you're not rough with them, they can last. So it doesn't have to be an exorbitant investment. You can do it on a budget. And I do all of it myself. I don't have my hair. I have a flow bee, so I cut my natural hair. I cut in my hair systems. I trim the base. I do all the maintenance on it, and I spend an average of $300 a year.
Dang.
That's my investment, is $300. So it is very feasible and very accessible. And but that's one thing that I want to get across to the younger guys and even the older guys.
Because that's something that I mean is constantly being asked in comments. Is individuals are always trying to figure out how much it's going to cost for them, and the answer is it depends. It depends on how much you want it done for you, and how much like you take care of your system, which is fantastic. I mean, I'm starting to agree with you. The longest I had been wearing a system before was I think 2 months before this current one, which is going on 3.5 months, and the color has the color is slightly off, but you know what? No one notices. It's one of those things like the viewers notice because you guys are watching and you're hypercritical, and that's fine. I don't mind that, but people out on the street, they don't notice it. It looks like just hair naturally changes color sometimes for some people as it gets longer and as it exposes. It does. Either way though, I'm 3.5 months in, and this unit is still fine as far as the quality of the hair and the quality of the base. There's no rips, there's no anything like that. So I agree with you. I mean, this is something that people can make last as long as they want. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. And I've used French lace from day one. That's what I started with. I'm comfortable with that. It may be down the road, I may try poly to see. I know the climate that I live in, which is very similar to Florida. I think I wouldn't get the results that I do with the French lace, and I'm comfortable wearing it. So if it's not broke, don't fix it, and it works.
I gotta recommend, man. I've tried. I've tried. You've seen some of the videos probably. I don't just go all poly. It's gonna be miserable with where you live down in more tropical climate. It's not something you can do.
And I commented on one of your videos to you that are you still using the full poly around the perimeter on yours?
Yeah, this is poly around the entire perimeter.
See, I started with the full poly, which is what the guy told me he recommended, since I hadn't worn one before. But as I got more acclimated to it, then I think it was on my third system, I went to the back and sides poly with the lace front. And then I decided a couple of systems after that to go ahead and go with the full lace, and I haven't had any issues with it at all.
That's great.
Now, one thing that I have had issues with, and this is, life throws those little surprises at you. I was wearing a system for about 3 years, and I was using the Walker Red Tape. Fantastic stuff. Absolutely fantastic. But then one day out of the blue, my body decided that it didn't like Walker Red Tape. And I had a bad reaction to it. I had 2nd-degree burns around the full perimeter. And I was in a real bind. I thought, what am I going to do if I can't use this adhesive? What am I going to do? And I did some more research. I found through Hair Direct hypoallergenic tape. And it's made by TDI. They're contour strips that I use, and I've been using that now for 3 years with no issues. Hopefully, I won't have any issues with it. So
that's great.
There's a whole plethora of options, and every one of us is unique. What our body can handle, what it can't. So experiment, try. Don't get stuck on just one thing. Try, and you may find something better. And but the one thing that I do want to stress is to the younger guys and also to the older guys that have been bothered with hair loss for a number of years, is to, if I could turn back the clock, I would have taken this step when the hair loss was really starting to get noticeable, and I would have jumped so that the change wouldn't have been so dramatic. And don't wait. Don't go through that misery and self-consciousness, because you don't have to. There's so much information right now, valuable information out there. There's so many products, and technology has come so far within these last 10 years, even the last 5 years, that to me, it's a no-brainer. If you can do something about it, do it. Don't wait, and get it done, because I guarantee you that easily over 90% of guys that go to a hair system are going to be satisfied with it.
Yeah, that's great advice, man. I mean, there's no reason to wait anymore, and no reason to lose, part of yourself for all of those years. I spent 6-7 years myself not feeling like myself and not feeling confident. And if I had the opportunity to know, man, I would have done things so different. And in fact, I actually kicked myself. I've never talked about this on the channel. I saw an advertisement for Quiff & Co., which, that was a whole debacle apparently. But I saw an advertisement for Quiff & Co. maybe back in 2016, 2017, some like 3 to 4 years ago. And I looked at it, which is, hair systems.
Right.
And I was like, man, that looks incredible. Like, I wish I could do that. And I sent a picture to my mom, because she was a hairdresser back in the day. We talk about hair loss and stuff. And of course, they were selling systems for like $3,000. So I didn't have any money at the time, and that wasn't a possibility. But I spent 3 to 4 more years, instead of doing a little bit more research and finding out that I didn't have to spend $3,000 to $4,000. And you don't, like you just said, you're stretching a year for $300. Even if someone doubles that or triples it, $900 a year is nothing. It's it's something, but $900 over a course of a year is less than $100 a month. And to gain all of that confidence, get all of that part of yourself back, it's worth it.
Well, for me, doing the economics of it, my systems cost $180. I'm using stock pieces now, so my system costs $180. So I'm probably using, $130, $140 on all my other products, with the shampoos, conditioners, adhesive, removers. I use the knot sealer. I use the scalp protector. I use the leave-in conditioner, the solvent to remove the adhesive. All of that is probably around $130, $140 a year. So, I'm looking at roughly $300 a year total investment, and then I'm cutting my natural hair myself, so I'm not having to go to a barber or a hair salon to get a haircut. And that's probably a good $15 every 3 weeks to get your hair cut. So to me, it's a wash.
Yeah.
And
essentially.
So go for it. Don't wait.
Just go for it. Stop waiting. Stop messing around, people. You heard it from the man himself, Mr. Jim Golding. Well, thank you, man, so much for coming on the channel and telling your story and giving, your unique perspective. Everyone's got a different story, and it helps someone out there. It helps everybody, but it especially helps people who are just like you out there, who think that they're all alone. And I guarantee you there's more than you can possibly imagine. So thank you so much for being that person for your demographic. And we got a special.
From the comb over to the do over. So
love it. Well, thank you so much, man. Everybody, thank you for watching. Please remember, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell below to stay notified and help other people find this channel. The ebook is going to be coming out pretty soon, which I'm excited about, and we will talk to you soon.